at once into the house as anyone else would have done. Seems to me to show they have some sense of shame left.
They have been eating muffins. That looks like repentance.
They don't seem to notice us at all. Couldn't you cough?
But I haven't got a cough.
Oh, they're looking. What effrontery.
Huh? Well, they're approaching. Well, that's very forward of them.
Let us maintain a dignified silence.
Certainly, it's the only thing to do now.
But this dignified silence seems to have a most unpleasant effect.
A most distasteful one.
Yet we will not be the first to speak.
Certainly not.
Mr. Worthing, I have something very particular to say to you. Much depends upon your reply.
Gwendolyn, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I might have an opportunity of meeting you.
Well, that certainly seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Well, yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't. But that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
Well, now that is true. Matters of great importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you give to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you might come up to town and see me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
Oh, I have the greatest doubts. But I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German skepticism. Well, that explanation seemed perfectly satisfactory to me, especially Mr. Worthing's. His seems to have the stamp of truth upon it.
I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity.
Well, do you think we should forgive them?
Yes.
I mean, no! Yes, you're absolutely right. I forgot. There are principles here that cannot be sacrificed. It's not a very pleasant task. Which of us should tell them?
Could we not both speak at the same time?
Oh, what an excellent idea! I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Would you care to take the time from me?
Certainly.
Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier. That's all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? But we are going to be christened this afternoon.
For me, you are prepared to do this terrible thing?
I am.
To please me, you are ready to face this fearful ordeal.
I am.
Oh, how absurd to talk of the equality of the sexes. When it comes to matters of self-sacrifice, men are infinitely beyond us.
We are.
They have moments of physical courage of which we women know absolutely nothing.
Darling!
Lady Bracknell!
Lady Bracknell!
Gwendolyn, what does this mean?
Merely that I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down immediately! Hesitation of any kind is a sign of mental decay in the young. Of physical weakness in the old. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by her trusty maid, whose confidence I purchased by means of a small coin. I followed her at once by a luggage train. Her unhappy father is, I'm glad to say, under the impression that she is attending a more than usually lengthy lecture by the University Extension Scheme. On the influence of a permanent income of thought. I do not propose to undeceive him. Indeed, I have never undeceived him on any question. I would consider it wrong. But you, sir, of course, will clearly understand that all communication between yourself and my daughter must cease immediately. From this moment, on this point, is indeed on all points, I'm firm.
I am engaged to be married to Gwendolyn, Lady Bracknell.
Pardon me, sir, you're nothing of the kind. And now, as concerns Algernon. Algernon,
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
may I ask if it is in this house that your invalid friend Mr. Bunbury resides?
Bunbury doesn't live here, Aunt Augusta. Bunbury's somewhere else at present. In fact, Bunbury's dead.
Death? When did Mr. Bunbury die? His death must have been extremely sudden.
Oh, I killed him this afternoon. Bunbury died.
What did he die of?
Bunbury? He was quite exploded.
Exploded? The victim of a revolutionary outrage? I was not aware that Mr. Bunbury was interested in social legislation. If so, he is well punished for his morbidity.
Well, my dear Aunt Augusta, what I mean is Bunbury was found out. The doctors found out that Bunbury could not live, and so Bunbury died.
I must say he seems to have had great confidence in the opinion of his physician. I'm glad, however, that he made up his mind at the last to some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. And now that we have finally got rid of this Mr. Bunbury, may I ask Mr. Worthing, who is that young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is now holding in what seems to me to be a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I am engaged to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
Well, I do not know if there is anything peculiarly exciting in the air of this particular part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seems to me considerably above the proper average that statistics have laid down for our guidance. I believe some preliminary inquiry on my part would not be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all connected with any of the large railway stations in London? Merely for information. Yesterday I had no idea that there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square Southwest, Jervis Park Docking, Surrey, and the Spawn, Fifeshire, Scotland.
Oh, that sounds not unsatisfactory. Indeed, 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell.
I have known strange errors in that publication.
Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Markby, and Markby. Firm of the very highest position in their profession. Indeed, I am told that one of the Mr. Markbys is occasionally to be seen at dinner parties. So far, I am satisfied.
Oh, extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I also have in my possession, you'll be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the German and the English variety.
A life crowded with incident, I see. Although perhaps somewhat too exciting for a young girl. I'm not myself in favor of premature experiences. Gwendolyn, come. The time for our departure draws near. We have not a moment to lose. Oh, as a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I had better ask you if Miss Cardew has any little fortune.
Oh, about £130,000 in the funds, that is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell, so pleased to have seen you.
A moment, Mr. Worthing. Miss Cardew seems to me a most attractive young lady now that I look at her. Few girls of the present day have any really solid qualities. any of the qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of surfaces. Come over here, dear. Pretty child. Your dress is sadly simple, and your hair almost as nature might have left it, but we can soon alter all that. A thoroughly experienced French maid works a really marvelous result in a very brief space of time. I remember recommending one to young Lady Lansing, and after 3 months her own husband did not know her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn round, sweet child. No, the side view is what I want. Yes, quite as I expected, there are distinct social possibilities in your profile. The 2 weak points of our age are its want of principle and its want of profile. The chin a little higher. Yes, style largely depends on the way the chin is worn. They are worn very high just at present. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily is the dearest, sweetest, prettiest girl in the whole world, and I don't care tuppence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. Come over here, dear. Dear child, of course you know that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. However, I'm not myself in favor of mercenary marriages. They give people... Well, when I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind, and yet I never dreamed for a moment of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I had better give my consent.
Oh, thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Sister, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may also address me as your Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, had better take place quite soon.
Oh, thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I, to speak frankly, am not in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character before marriage, which I think is never advisable.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but this engagement is quite out of the question. I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely, I may almost say, an ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What more could one desire?
It pains me very much to have to speak frankly to you, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew, but the fact of the matter is I don't approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful, my nephew Algernon, impossible. He is an Oxonian.
I fear there can be no possible doubt in the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house by the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I've just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet Brut 89, wine I was specially reserving for myself. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed to tea and devoured every single muffin. What makes his conduct all the more heartless is that he was perfectly well aware from the first that I have no brother, that I never had a brother, and I don't intend to have a brother, not even of any kind. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
After careful consideration, Mr. Worthing, I've decided entirely to overlook my nephew's conduct to you.
That is very generous of you, Lady Bracknell. My own decision, however, is unalterable. I decline to give my consent.
Here, dear. How old are you?
Well, I'm really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
Well, you're perfectly right in making some slight alteration. Indeed, no woman should ever be quite accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, admitting to 20 at evening parties. Oh, well, it won't be very long, of course, before you're of age and free from the restraints of tutelage. So, I don't think your guardian's consent is, after all, a matter of any importance.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you again, Lady Bracknell, but it is only fair to tell you that according to the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not come legally of age till she is 35.
No, that does not seem to me to be a grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. And London society is full of women of the very highest birth who, of their own free choice, have remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is a case in point. To my own knowledge, she's been 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 40, which was many years ago now. I see no reason why our dear sister should not be even still more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is at present. There will be a large accumulation of property.
Algie, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Well, of course I could. You know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively. But I couldn't wait all that time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I am not punctual myself, I know, but I do like punctuality in others. And waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
Well, what is to be done then?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrief.
My dear Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cardew states positively that she cannot wait till she's 35, a remark which I'm bound to say seems to me to show a somewhat impatient nature. Yet still, sir, I would beg of you to reconsider your decision.
My dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your hands. The moment you consent to my marriage to Gwendolyn, I will most gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
You must be clearly aware, sir, that what you propose is out of the question.
And a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny that I propose for Gwendolyn. Algernon, of course, may decide for himself. Come, dear, we have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more might expose us to comment on the platform.
Well, everything is quite ready for the christening.
Your christening, sir? Is not that somewhat premature?
Well, both these gentlemen here have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
Oh, at their age, the idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear of such excesses. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he learned that that was the way in which you wasted your time and mine.
Well, am I to understand that there are to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I don't think that as things are now, it would be of much practical value to either of us, Dr. George.
Oh, I'm very grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. They savor of the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views which I have completely refuted in form of my unpublished sermons. However, as your mood seems peculiarly secular, I shall return to the church at once. Indeed, I have just been informed by the pew opener that for the last hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Miss Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, indeed, Lady Bracknell, and I'm on my way to join her now.
Oh, pray, allow me to detain you for a moment. This matter may prove to be one of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
Oh, why, Lady Bracknell, she is a lady of the utmost cultivation, the very picture of respectability.
It is obviously the same person. May I ask, sir, what position she holds in your household?
Oh, Lady Bracknell, I'm a celibate.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has been for the last 3 years Miss Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion.
Yes, well, in spite of what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
Well, she approaches. She is nigh.
Oh, I was told that you expected me in the vestry, dear Canon. I have been waiting there for you for the past hour and 3/4.
Prism! Come here, Prism. Prism, where is that baby?
Baby?
28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104, Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator containing a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the elaborate investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was found at midnight, standing by itself in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained the manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prison. Where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish that I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day that you mentioned, a day that is forever branded in my memory, I prepared as usual to take that baby out in its perambulator. I also had with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag in which I intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction, which I had written in my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, for which I can never forgive myself, I deposited the manuscript in the bassinet, and I placed the baby in the handbag.
Where did you deposit the handbag?
Oh, Mr. Worthing, please do not ask.
Miss Prism, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist on knowing where you deposited the handbag that contained that infant.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
What railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
Oh, if you are not too long, I shall wait here for you for the rest of my life.
Well, Lady Bracknell, what does this mean?
I dare not even suspect, Dr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur. They are hardly considered the thing.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian has a very emotional nature, Cecily.
This noise is extremely unpleasant. It sounds as if he was having an argument. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and often convincing.
There, it has stopped now.
Well, I wish he would arrive at some conclusion.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends upon your answer.
Ooh. It seems to be mine. But here is the injury it received due to the upsetting of a Gower Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here is the stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. Incident that occurred at Lehr. And here on the lock are my initials. Oh, I had forgotten that in a moment of extravagance I had them placed there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I'm delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It has been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more is restored to you than this handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes, Mother.
I am unmarried.
Unmarried? I do not deny that it's a serious blow. But after all, who can cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one law for man, another for woman? Mother, I forgive you.
Mr. Worthing, there has been some error. There is the lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly tell me who I am?
I'm afraid that the news I have to give you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently Algernon's elder brother.
She's elder brother. Then I have a brother after all. I knew I had a brother. I always said I had a brother. Cecily, how could you ever doubt it? I had a brother. Dr. Chasuble, my unfortunate brother.
How do you do?
Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Algy, you young scoundrel. You'll have to treat me with more respect in the future. You've never behaved to me like a brother in all your life.
Well, not till today, old boy, I admit. However, I did my best, though I was out of practice.
Oh, my own! Oh, but wait. What own are you? I mean, who are you now that you're someone else?
Good heavens, I'd quite forgotten that point. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose?
I never change, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
And the matter had best be cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta, the moment when Miss Prism placed me in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Every luxury that money could buy, including christening, had been lavished on you by your fond and doting parents.
Then I was christened, that is settled. Now, what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Being the eldest son, naturally, you were christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name?
Oh, but I cannot at the present moment recall what the general's Christian name was. Although I have no doubt he had one. He was eccentric, I admit, but only in later years. And that was the result of the Indian climate and marriage and indigestion and things.
Algy, can't you recollect what our father's Christian name was?
We were never on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
His name would appear in the army lists of the period, I suppose, Aunt Augusta?
The general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. However, I have no doubt that his name would appear in any military directory of the period.
The army lists of the last 40 years, I hear.
How lucky.
These books should have been my constant study. A through G, M's, generals, Mads, Nadley, or ghastly names they have. Markby, Nigsby, Mobbs, Moncrief, Lieutenant, 1840. Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, General, 1869. Christian names, Earnest, John. I always told you my name was Ernest, didn't I, Gwendolyn? But it is Ernest after all. I mean, it naturally is Ernest.
Yes, I remember now the general was called Ernest. I knew I had some particular reason for disliking the name.
Ernest, my own Ernest. From the very first I knew you could have no other name.
Oh, Gwendolyn, 'tis a terrible thing for a man to find out suddenly that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
Oh, I can, for I feel that you are sure to change.
My darling.
Letitia.
Frederick, at last.
Cecily, at last.
Gwendolyn, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.